let them go. So we're going to do the graduates, and we're going to do them in alphabetical order. So the first one is going to be Ruben.
Well, you guys look familiar.
Do we?
So I was saying this was a great class.
You can stand in the middle, because there's the camera, right?
All right.
One of the reasons this was a great class is Ruben produces a lot of movies and television for Logos. He's the director for Logos. He was the first director for Logos, and he's transformed. You know, he's trying to transition into full length. But he showed us a clip. It was beautiful. It's beautifully filmed. He's done a great job, and he blew me away the first day because as you're doing premises and treatments and things, and you're also learning about filmmaking and contracts and distribution, he did just an incredible analysis. And this is great, because Ruben could teach the class. In fact, Laura could teach the class. So we've got a couple of people that I can retire now and go to Costa Rica. But Ruben did a great job, so thank you, Ruben.
Thank you very much.
You should say what you thought.
But then you might have to jump.
Well, Ruben was an amazing student to have. He has a really good eye. You can tell that he's a director. And he would catch lots of things, ask good questions during the lectures, and I just appreciated his spirit and his willingness to do what God's called him to do. So I'm just so glad you're in the class. It's great to get to know you. And you've been away from your family for what, 3 weeks now?
Well, 3 out of 4 weeks, yep.
So yes, this is a man who's got little ones, looking forward to having him home.
Yeah, it would be good to be home, but honestly, this has just been such a unique experience by having so much information crammed into a small amount of time. With sleep is just not really an option, and so yeah, I think it's kind of like the equivalent of boot camp for filmmaking. You know, it's kind of like the Navy SEALs where they have sleep deprivation and they cram all this information into them, and at the very end you're expected to perform. And so you know, we did our best.
We're going to give
really
you 1 week
tremendous.
to produce your feature film.
How much money though?
You're going to find the money.
No, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and it was just a tremendous blessing to be able to learn from people who, you know, have their priorities in order. So, thank you so much.
Now, Ruben sounded lovable and gentle, but today he took one member of the cast and sliced up his scene, and I thought the member was going to lie bleeding on the floor and we'd be in big trouble. The next person will be Jim Holman. Jim. There you go. Jim is an engineer. He's in Austin. Yeah, God put it on his heart to produce a movie. Once upon a time, Hitchcock used to say that lawyers make the best film writers and engineers and police. And Gene Roddenberry, who I worked with on a project for ABC, said that the highway patrolmen made the best writers. I think the highway patrolmen because they have the most time, but the lawyers and the engineers is because they got logic. Whatever the society is doing, you've got to be very ruthlessly logical. Jim had a great storyline. He did a great scene today, and he wants to learn, and he's very humble. So after being a successful person in engineering, he's doing great work. So thank you, Jim. Susan?
Yes, well, I knew from the first day that Jim was going to do well because he told us a story at lunch, and I could have told you he was an engineer before he even finished the story, but it was really funny, and it did all the things a story should do, and true to that, he was an excellent student in the class. I just so enjoyed getting to know you, and I pray that you
I'm tempted to let him tell you the story. I won't do that, but the story basically is when he was little, he decided that he wanted to trap birds, and so he built a trap, and he went to inspect it, and he got caught in the trap hanging upside down in the middle of nowhere, and he tried to kill himself, but he didn't do it, right?
I got much better.
He got much better. His engineering got better.
Right.
What do you have to say?
I am just so humbled to have been able to attend this class. You know, I mean, the wealth of the experience that you brought to this class, the way you layered all the different aspects of what we were hosed down with a fire hose continuously, and the way that you brought in incredible experts and people, not just experts, but incredible people like Susan, like Jeff, like the legal guy,
Tom.
like Tom. You know,
Who's going to be here? So, Tom, if you're here, we remember your name.
okay. But I mean, and again, the way that you encouraged us all, you know, both you know, people with lots of experience and people like me that are just starting from the bottom, without condescending, and yet, you know, really I felt bringing me along a long ways. So thank you very, very much.
Jim came a long way. I asked him to do a treatment, and it went on and on. I asked him to do one paragraph.
It was a paragraph.
He was copying Marcel Proust, who wrote a paragraph that was 6 pages long, I think, without a period. He was trying to do his best for French literature.
The Apostle Paul.
But we're in America. The treatment, sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
You did a great job.
All this is being recorded. The funny thing is being recorded, and when I see it later, I say, why did I say that? So this is what happens to teddy bears that are willing to be, you know, very self-effacing, if that's what you call it. Shelly Ann, who's taken the class twice now. Wow. And Shelly Ann had Nicole do a scene today that had us all in so many tears that we just dried up. The tears just were intense. Her story's intense. Her script is intense. Her whole premise is intense. And Shelly Ann wanted to know enough. And the first time she was here, she learned a lot. This time she's learned even more.
Absolutely.
Susan?
Well, I have to say, she is such an encourager. Every day when I would get there, she would give me a hug. And I like that very much, and I forgot to hug her
She never
today.
gave me a hug.
But Shelley just has such a teachable spirit, and again, a story that needs to be told. I can't wait to hear what God does with this. But I just so appreciate how willing you were to ask questions and listen, and give me a hug. So I just appreciate you. God bless you.
Thank you. And second time around is even better. And I just want to thank you for sharing your life with us and being willing to open up about the pitfalls and the successes along the way, and taking time, your heart and your passion and tenacity to continue to go and stick out the long hours with us and always be available. So thank you so much. Thank you.
By the way, long hours will start at 8 and they end at around 10 or 12, and then the homework.
Yeah,
And then you have to do the homework. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's a tough schedule, but that's okay. Susie, you're next. Now, I think when Susie started out coming down from the Northwest, near Eugene, Oregon, she wasn't quite prepared for what she was putting forward. And I keep asking her, you know, what she thought about somebody else's premise, and she'd start to tell me her premise. By the end, she was doing absolutely incredibly well, and just blessed. And yesterday, Sandy and I were riding in the car with her. She told me a story that just changed my heart. It was a beautiful story that you've got to make into a movie. So thank you for that. Susan?
Well, she was the person whose name I learned first, since Susie and Susan, I could remember that one. But I immediately felt a kinship with Susie, and I also love how you are tenacious and you ask really good questions, and you came with a purpose, and you want to do what God's called you to do and enabled you to do. And just, again, I hope you'll keep in touch, and I can't wait to see what happens with your stories, because there's going to be more.
Yeah, and that's the problem, isn't it? God just puts things in you, and He keeps putting things in you, and after a while you have this collection, and you go, "What am I supposed to do with this, Lord?" And then He opens these doors. I have this email come into my inbox, and it says, "How to succeed in Hollywood without losing your soul." And immediately I just had this great swelling of peace come in, and I thought, I can go to this. And what I've experienced this weekend, in a nutshell, is I have in all the work, all the writing I've done, and all of the instruction that I've taken, I felt like the ugly duckling in the room. And I finally feel like I'm in a slime pond. and it's really because of Jesus in every person. I'm so blown away with every conversation I have. I keep expecting the outcome or this, that, and people instead they say Jesus or the Lord this. And I love the focus of Movieguide to change the world, you know, by putting out things that are going to build people. Thank you.
Okay, Jim, you're not the last on the list. That's because he misspelled his name. Jim and I have been friends for maybe 30 years. Jim is a serial entrepreneur. Jim and I have a lot of mutual friends, and his wife was a friend, and is a friend, and she's gone through trials and tribulations. But Jim has, God put it on his heart to get in the industry. He's gotten in a lot of industries. He's done well in a lot of industries. He got in the industry for somebody who was actually editing the Movieguide Awards, and they didn't do what they were supposed to do. So now he's learned exactly what the industry was. It's just not what you expect it to be. But I love Jim a lot. We both have similar backgrounds, and he grew up in Brooklyn. I grew up on the streets of Manhattan as a Broadway brat, so this is all very good. But Jim, you did a great job, and I appreciate you. Susan?
Well, what I would say about Jim is this is a leopard that knows his spots. He right away can see the potential in people's stories and like find those gold nuggets. And he had such good ideas. Just talking informally today, and it turned out that we both seem both familiar with a particular stage show. And I just appreciate your heart and your willingness to take this new venture and go where God's calling you. And I just wish you every success.
Thank you so much. I want to thank you for putting this on. You signed my book, the Success in Hollywood book that you teach from today, in 2011. Now, I waited that long to take this class because I knew that I had to learn something about the business before I took the class, because the class is going to be so intense that I had to have some foundation to go with.
Well said.
And I had to follow Ted all over the country as he taught in other classes, so that when I attended this class, I would have at least an inkling. And the cliche of this class is like drinking out of a fire hose, like 2 fire hoses. And then you go home and you do homework. So it's not for the faint of heart. And the other thing is, take it now, because the price has doubled from the time that I looked at it. Thank you so much.
And Sandon, Jan, who has got a heart of gold, made a movie in Oxnard. And it's a good movie. It's not bad. He showed us the trailer today. It looks good. This is the first calling card. He's got talent. He had talent when he directed his scene today. But he's got more than talent. He's got compassion. Lily's not listening. She's been on chemo for many years. Yesterday when we went to lunch, he took her and guided her in and helped her and read the menu. I'm just absolutely impressed with his heart, with his soul, and with his ability. So, and you did a wonderful job in the class. He did make people feel uncomfortable in the class because he'd point out their flaws. But he told me
I really appreciate your storytelling ability. You have such good storytelling instincts, but they are also combined with a heart of compassion and a person who cares about God honoring. And I was just so delighted to have had you in class. You live here in the area so close, and yet you didn't know about Movieguide until recently. And I'm just so glad that God brought you. good luck to you always.
Thank you very much.
Movieguide is your home.
Okay, appreciate it. I mean, on that, that's a great segue because I did feel like this was a family. The nice thing about the class is that it's intimate. It was only 6 of us, as you can see, and it's able to share. You feel more open. You don't feel like you're being overlooked, and you're not a number or anything like that. And I think what really encouraged me is to see how much God is using you, first of all, in this whole ministry.
Yeah.
I heard about your ministry over 10 years ago, and when I first heard it, I said, that's awesome, but then I never, followed up on it. But it's just kind of like how Jesus would raise up the disciples, and I mean, we're the disciples that, I don't know if there's other disciples out here in this crowd, but you're pouring into us so that we can go on to pour into others, and then for the kingdom of God, It's just awesome. So I want to thank you for your hard work. Thank you. Thank you.
Now I'm going to ask some of the interns to come up. First, Nicole. Nicole. Nicole did a crying scene today. She was the actress. We all wept, and then we wept, and then we couldn't weep anymore. But it was a beautiful scene, and you did a great job. I'm proud of you. You're terrific. And she's a very wonderful intern because she helps with everything. So this is great.
Yes, and what a positive attitude and a bubbly personality. Lots of fun to be around. You were the ideal student because every time I asked a question, you had an answer. And yet you weren't pushy and you let other people answer, which is something sometimes people don't have that good balance. And so you were just a joy to have. And I look forward to what God's going to do. You're a wonderful actress, just phenomenal. Not just the crying, but the other stuff you did today too.
And remember, we've had interns who never left. I mean, Ben never left. They come and they don't leave. So you're
That's so wonderful. Thank you. Oh, is it my turn?
Yes, your turn.
Oh,
You can say anything.
interns talk? Oh, okay. Thank you. I was trying to gather my thoughts because coming here I know was God's thing. And this ministry, I've heard it was on my radar since 2010, but God finally put it on my heart. And I don't know if those of you who know, but I mean, you all know this man and his wife are just so compassionate. And you have a ministry here that doesn't just teach and equip, you celebrate the dream inside. And I want to thank you for that because not a lot of people, they'll teach you, they'll equip you, but they won't pull out the gifts or they won't celebrate the gift. And because you celebrate me and you celebrate others, we have the encouragement to go out and the boldness to go out and like almost the affirmation. So thank you.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you for that and thank you for your stuff.
Laura.
Well said, girl.
So Laura is another intern. She did a wonderful job. She's doing a wonderful job. She's very quiet. And then I got a review from Laura, and it was a great review. It was well written. And then today she starts analyzing the scenes, and it's like another person like Ruben could take over the class. She's studying at Moody. She's brilliant. She has all the talent that she needs to succeed and to excel. So we're happy to have her as an intern in the office. And don't any of you take her. Susan, you want to say something?
Oh, well, yes, Laura is somewhat quiet. But again, today was one of those days where when she started doing her on-the-fly analysis of people's stories, Ted and I looked at each other. We did the look.
Yeah.
We were like, holy cow,
Amazing.
this is an amazing.
She understands story. You
She
need somebody
does.
who understands
She
story.
does. She's
got story down. She's
she's
good.
amazing.
It's a
So,
gift. It's a
yes.
gift, and it's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much. And Ashley. So Ashley did not tell her story. I'm going to tell your story. But Ashley has an incredible story that I hope she opens up and starts telling because it's a story that will bless you and break your heart. And she's an incredible caregiver, helper, blessing. And she was a terrific actress today in all of the scenes. You did a beautiful job, and we're just happy to have you here. Happy working with us. Susan?
Well, Ashley is quiet too, and yet she has such a depth to her. I don't know this story, so she and I are going to have to talk. But what I appreciated from what I got to know Ashley was, again, that gentle and contrite spirit, the servant's heart, the willingness to come alongside other people. Such a gift of information and joy to be around. Bubbly, fun. Oh my goodness, it was a delight to have you in the class.
God bless you. And Cody. Cody's father and brother were worried about him, so they dropped him off. They wanted to meet us first to see if we were acceptable to be an intern. His father is a professor that teaches film at a college near Chattanooga, is that right? And Cody, you're at Bryan College, and he's our Bryan College intern, and I'll be teaching at Bryan College. We're speaking there in the fall, and you're going to have to listen to me again. Cody, wow, what a job of acting he did today. It was absolutely incredible. With every scene, you did beautifully.
Well, Cody, what I appreciated about Cody was this guy was such a sponge for information. I went and asked each one of them, what they wanted to do, what their bent was, what their interests were, and he told me straight out, I want to learn everything. And it's hard to sit that long. It's a long day. It's fascinating, but it's a long day, and yet he was like tracking and asking questions and making good comments. And also, you're just a super friendly guy, and I love the acting today, and I'm just so glad to have gotten it.
Thank you.